Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Man to Man. I'm your host, Hugo Ribatika. We have multiple conversations and remember, we leave no man behind. Now imagine your daughter, your aunt, your sister coming to you and saying to you, hey mum, hey aunt, this is my boyfriend. And that boyfriend is an individual who's been on death row for 2 decades. An individual who's a murderer because he's killed someone. But that person is a regular person, like you and I, back in society. What are the sort of challenges they face? Well, that's a conversation that we've got today on the show. We're speaking to Godden Matanga, an individual who was on death row for many, many years. But he's going to unpack that story for us. Gordon, thanks so much for coming on to Man to Man.
Thank you very much, Hugo.
It's always almost difficult to find a place to start. But you're 20 years old, or thereabouts, when you go into prison for the first time.
Yes, that's true.
So let's rewind a little bit. In the build-up to you going to prison, what sort of life did you lead? You were 20 years old. Where were you raised? Where did you grow up?
Okay. I was born on the 18th of June, Hugo, at Edith Hospital. That's 1980 in Harare. And
So
then,
already born free.
yeah, born free. Yeah, I'm a born free. So, by that time, my mom worked as housemaid, and she worked for white folks by that time. And I still what I still remember of my early childhood. It's a bit of a blur, but then yes, around 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years, I remember. I could say the family institution I was raised by that time, my mom and dad and my sibling, that's my young brother, was marred by a lot of violence. That's from my father's side and mom. And I could say I grew up in an institution of a family which was filled with violence and yes, and also deception. That's from my father's side, mom. And
So how did you manage life though, as a 7-year-old? Kind of dara wajiro moms. What?
You see, yeah, I could say it was very difficult at that time, and inside my heart, I would ask myself, why the violence? Why my dad is beating my mom? Why the fighting? You see, and by that time with other kids, or maybe go to other maybe my friends' family, there was peace. But in our home now, it was different. So I was like bewildered and really frightened. Say, why us? Why our family? You see. And
So were you asking yourself these questions, or were you having a conversation with someone?
No, I asked myself. These were some questions I asked myself, you see. And then this, you see, so my father had, before he beat my mom, he had another wife and other kids, and he didn't tell my mom. And later on, this led up when my mom knew they divorced, you see. And my father left and went to Wonder Valley, and we were now being raised by a single parent, that's my mother, who was working as a housemaid. And you see, those conditions were quite difficult for her because she had to go to work, leave us, maybe prepare some food, then rush to work, come back at lunchtime to see how are we. It was quite frustrating for her. So there's this time I followed my friend into town, and you see, his mom worked at a salon, and so when she finished work around 5, remember, I'm with my friend and we're there. And now she's going home with her son, but I'm there. And now she's worried. Okay, Gordon, where you planning? Does your mom know you're here? And no, like she's worried. And I say, no, I just followed my friend here. And she panics and she takes me to the townhouse where they start contacting the school, the head, that, no, we've got 1 people here.
Where were you going to school?
I was going to Avonlea by the time, primary. Yeah, I remember grade 1. So, and there, my mom was also busy with her boss looking for me because I didn't go home, you see. So that scenario, they later, you see, they got from the town council, and then they contacted the head, and the head came with my mom and her boss, and they was picked up. This is around 6 o'clock now, you see. So that incident really was quite frightening for my mom. And then my mom's boss, she was a lady, she was white. That's when they decided to go to the social welfare and approach them so we could be looked after in a home, because they saw that it was very difficult for my mom at that time, you see. Then that caused us to be taken to Emerald Road Children's Home in
This is your brother and yourself?
Yes, I and my brother. And my brother is 2 years younger than I. And so we're taken to Emerald Hill Children's Home. You see, upon arrival there now, you see, I didn't fit in immediately with other kids and everything.
Why?
Yeah, because I was saying, okay, fine, I'm in a home, but my mom is alive, she's there, my father, yes, disabled, but I've got both parents, you see, and I'm staying where there's a mixed race of kids, yeah, you see, and I was really quite depressed by that time. Yeah.
Were you angry? Did you?
Yeah, it was much of anger that this is being caused. I was blaming my father for this. You see, I blamed my mom, both of them, but really my father was you see. So I was like a loner. I secluded myself from other kids. Though the sisters and the nuns who looked after me, they took time to try to comfort me, so I could gel in. But this also affected my schoolwork. But later on, I was when I was now doing after grade 7, we were taken to senior boys. Was there the girls remain and go to like Mount Pleasant, and so I was taken to St. Joseph's House Boys. This is in Belvedere, as senior boys orphanage.
Yeah,
we were now going to Prince Edward now. You see now, so I could say this is what I remember of my early childhood. You see, before I went to St. Joseph's.
So let's fast forward. Get to you. You're a teenager, finishing high school. Did you do your O levels? Did you do your A levels?
Yeah, I did my O levels, and yes, I felt was I could say this was also contributed to that. But then now you see, when I was there, the senior boys, okay, this is where I started. I could say the choice of friends I took, and by that time at PE, or in that time, those the colored guys, Indian guys, the white guys at PE. Yeah, there was much fighting, bullying, to be honest, and there were gangs. We had like gangs, with gangs for like we'd say Kong, that's Sunningdale, Arcadia, Hillside, the gangs from there.
So what was your gang?
Okay, I had friends from like Arcadia, you see, they were coloreds by that time.
Yeah.
You see, and also friends from the senior boys. So it's a time where I was like, as I said, like my childhood really affected me much. And you see, I thought I sought consolation in like smoking. I used to treat cigarettes. This wasn't allowed, you see, but it's
you smoke at school.
After school, you see, we smoked, and sometimes this was when also I was introduced to like later on like drugs like marijuana, and I thought this would calm me, the depression, the anxiety, the stress.
And all this was happening in high school.
In high school, you see. So the boys used to sneak out, sometimes during the holidays we sneak out, go to like parties, go to clubs. There were clubs like Sierras, Tube, all this. We used to sneak out, go to those places. This is where I really was introduced to some of these drugs like man drugs, the angel dust sometimes, but this is like lycra drugs, you see. And I was trying to like calm my mind, try to calm the suppression, in my mind and all that. Yeah, and the anxiety, and you see. Yeah, so that's how it was at that time, and also this affected my studies. But now you see, these drugs and cigarettes and stuff. I started like selling my Walkman, my sneakers, and you end up, when you've sold all your stuff, you end up nicking from the next guy's dormitory. You start stealing. You see, to sustain the habit.
It's a conversation that we have a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's a familiar talking point with individuals that are addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
But I hold that thought because we're going to come back to it. You're watching Man to Man in conversation with Godden Matanga, who spent several years on death row in one of Zimbabwe's toughest prisons, Chikurubi prison. That conversation when we come back. Don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Man to Man in conversation with Godden Matanga, an individual who was on death row for many, many years. Godden, before the break, you were unpacking for us how you started off on drugs. Now, where were you accessing these drugs? I mean, you were 16 years old.
Okay. As I said, that we used to sneak off from the home and go to clubs, sometimes during the holidays, and would go maybe to clubs like Sarah's, Sarah's nightclub was more like the college there, and there was Shub nightclub, and there was Escape in Borodale. So you see, remember I said some of the choice of friends, like the guys I was with at school, sometimes we met at the clubs there, and these drugs were widely available there, you see. Not every, but especially these clubs I'm saying.
So what determined your choice of friends? Because there were obviously kids that didn't do drugs. There were kids that went to church.
Yes,
that played sports.
So that's true. You see. So remember, I said that even in these schools, when bullying was there, you see, you wanted to belong somewhere. Even though, you want to belong somewhere. Though, clans, you want to belong somewhere. And by that time, and also someone was also also decided that yes, I'm also a violent person by that time. You see, I like challenges, fights, and all that. So mostly I was with the colored guys sometimes, and that's how it was. You want to belong to a gang, you see, and then you are not looked like they don't look down on you at school and all that. You see, that's how it was. So by joining these gangs, that's how I chose the choice of friends I chose. You see. And the dress ups and all that, and sometimes we used to you do hip hop singing. Those are the days music from Coolio, Tupac, and things like that. You see, so we try to imitate that kind of behavior we saw on TV and some of those American singers. That's how it was.
So a lot of this was really about the anger you felt.
Yes.
And obviously the frustration.
The frustration.
To belong.
Yes.
Effects of your childhood.
Yes. Yeah. Effects of my childhood. You see, I thought maybe if the violence I experienced as a child, I was trying to fight it back somewhere, inside me. I tried to belong somewhere. Also, when I fight with someone, I would vent that frustration with someone. You see, that's how inside it was.
So is this the anger that then led to the incident in which you
later
killed a woman?
Yes.
So talk us through that incident. How did you get to a place where you killed this woman? Who is she? What happened?
Okay, she was. I worked for her. You remember, I did odd jobs. Sometimes working in the garden there.
You were 19 at the time,
and I was 20 now. Yeah, I was 20 at that time. So we exchanged words harshly, and by that time, to be honest, yes, I was under the influence. I used to take morning before I go to work. I take I want to work when I'm high and all that. You see, that's how it was. But then under this influence.
So what had you taken on that morning?
On that one, I had taken marijuana this time, that morning, and I was very high and I was very intoxicated. You see.
I thought weed was a light drug.
Not to everybody. You see, no. Yeah, people say weed is a light drug, and it's different. You see, from person to person. Somebody can take weed and it really. He can feel dizzy. He doesn't take on him. Somebody can take weed and it really flows with it. He can work hard. It gives him the power, the momentum he wants. You see, it's different from each person to person.
You took weed on this morning.
Yeah, and
then walk us through the events.
So on the day I was working, doing the pool jobs and everything, and then she comes out. So I remember we had a quarrel about the pool. You see, So when she was quarreling, you see.
What does it matter?
Yeah, nadatazabasa. Yes, nadatazabasa. Nananonoka futhi kuyabasa. You see, that was the and really, yes, I was wrong. I cannot say I was right, even though she quarreled, and I'm not quite saying the exact names she called me, but then that's got on to me, and then I pushed her in the pool. Says you want to swim, and I'm kind of swim, but she wanted to swim, and when I'm kind of pool, but I'm kind of violently palmer steps, and she fell and hit her head. She had, I think, a concussion. You see, that's the truth of the story I'm now bringing out. Yeah. But I remember when I was taken by the police that time, I didn't give them the true facts of what actually happened. But they know that you see. But I didn't give them the true facts because I was afraid. You see, that's what I remember. But this is now.
So you push this woman.
Yeah.
Right? She then has a.
She hits her head and
has a concussion.
Yeah. Then when I pull her out quickly, there's a lot more. There's also a cable. You see. Yeah, I know people are thinking, but it's the way I pushed her in. Yes, though there was a cable. I didn't know. You see. on. So I was trying to ascertain kuti intambo here kana ndini. I didn't know by that time, but I just pulled her out. When I pulled her out, she was bleeding on the nose. You see, so by that time I panicked.
Yeah.
And fear comes in that time. But okay, what's it? You see. So what happens? Then I take her. There's like panic pampachicha work burning marara, my tires, under paper and all that. Then I pull it up there by the side of the fire. So at this time I'm panicking, and remember.
Was she alive? Was
no,
she still alive?
She wasn't breathing or anything, to be honest. She wasn't breathing. And I didn't really try to find to kind of resuscitate her, all those things you do, try to know. Saka, she was bleeding from the nose. So what I do now, then I go in the house. And then I used, my days actually, there's the phones, my buttons, Then I call, remember I had friends. One time now boss at my media crimes, yes, time para mosa to no my bikes to say it doctor staying at Mabi, Then I call my friend Arku is a guy from Fakos. He used to learn go to Mount Pleasant. Don't call Anons Farambik. I call the guy. You see, guys, and the other guy called Kaitsu. And I run him wrong. But Urungation is Namuri, I'm swimming pool my steps, bodies about Pamino. So later see, they said, so why did you call the cops? Gun? I didn't call the cops. Guns. My one. That's what they say. You see. So I was like, also, can I? No fill up house. They say, then they said, Sakafa. So and now Papa Nefioti, my prisa. All those things were now coming in, you see. Saka, there's a time you don't do the right things you need to do because you are panicking and you have fear. There's fear factor in what I'm no so later say. Saka, the wrong advice came now by the time from my friends. So what do you do? Chisa. Do teaser, you see. I'm only 20 and running away you need money. You see, made a copy by that time. And Saka, what do you go? All right. That's the case.
How many hours had elapsed?
Okay, it was from that time. This happened around, I could remember, in the morning, early in the morning, late in the morning, around 11. And by that time, Pandaga's Otanga could discuss, and out was maybe 2 hours later. And then that time, fear, you smoke more, light up up and down with. Then you start talking, you want to talk to someone. But I want to talk, maybe the first person who come, I call them.
So at what point then did you act on their advice?
This was now late. This was around late in the afternoon, around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. By that time, I called. Saka, Dega. I thought, let me hide the body. Okay. But wait, don't thinking of a plan. You could know, I'm not reporting the cops. You see, kind of connects to the neighbors, and they see. That's how it was.
So lots of questions going through your mind. And I'm sure you're also keen to know what happens next. Well, I'm in conversation with Godden Matanga. We're back in a moment. You're watching Man to Man. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Man to Man. Godden Matanga in conversation with me. Just before the break, Gordon, you were telling us about the thoughts that went through your mind, the conversations that you were having with some of your friends when this woman lay dead in the garden, and what it is that you were planning on doing. So what did you do next?
There was a fire, but there was a small compost, not compost, there was a ditch where we burned like trash and all things like that. And you see, so I dragged the body close there. I'm thinking, call the cops, dig a hole, bury, all those things are coming, you see. And then all of a sudden, I think, no, let me hide the body. But where? You see, there are dogs as well. You see. So the dogs were coming there, they go to the body there, they sniff, they run, they're trying to they know this is a body, and they're like meowing and making sounds and all that.
Barking,
and they're worried as well, So all of a sudden, there's a time you're smoking more, it's a time you fear, panic, I'm thinking, you think, but nothing conclusive comes, and I just decide, okay, fine. I just throw the body in the fire, put logs, tires, I'm destroying everything, and then try to wait and see and think, what do I do next? You see, once I'm planning on a method, think of where do I run, where do I go? You see, so the advice I got from my friends was hide the body, then think of a plan or find something, then run away or stay cool, stay low. That's how it was. So I burned the body, put ties. I know the body, people are curious to know that the body, how do you, I put logs, ties and things and all that. And this is now from around 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this was Saturday, I remember, and she was meant to go for a meeting on that very day, the day she died. And the following day now, you see, the people she were meant to meet for the meeting were curious to know what happened, why didn't she come, and they were phoning around.
So let me rewind a little bit. I want to go back to you burning the body, putting in lots of logs. Was it then burnt beyond recognition, as they say? I mean,
yeah. Well, the following day, I would say. You see, the neighbors, there was a big fire. It's big, and there were ties and logs. So I think that's really destroyed the smell. You see, so maybe the neighbors just thought, no, they're just burning junk and things like that. You see. But it was so big, there was never a big fire like that with the smoke, with the black smoke and all that. They were quite, I think, also curious, but they didn't. So that took time, and the following day was now Sunday. And by that time, my mom was not there. She had gone away for leave and all that for a few days. So I was by myself. And the following Sunday, calls were going on amongst the deceased friends and all that. And Monday, the husband also received calls that we are not seeing your wife and all that. And that's when he came on Monday. And
what
I
was
was
her
there.
name?
Her name was Heather Desmond. You see. And okay, yes, that's when inquiry started from Monday, from the husband's side. They even suspected him, maybe, since they'd separated, maybe he knows something where she is or something. So as time went by, that's Monday, Tuesday, the friends and relatives started coming.
Were you still at the house?
Yes, I was there.
That's where you lived?
Yeah, that's where I lived, you see. And even my mom came now that time, but she knew nothing. I kept this a secret, you see.
So from the compost heap or that hole, had you put soil on top? Had you covered the whole? What did you do?
It was just now ashes. Everything was now ashes by that time. So when the friends, the deceased friends, the husband, some of the, they came and they would go in the house. They asked me. I just said, "Oh no, she took her where she went. I don't know where she went." You see. So they were thinking since
you weren't panicking.
I was, but you see, my friend said, she said, "Stay low." It was just she disappeared, and then you got a plan where to go. If you get some money, we'll give you, run. That's how it was. So I was waiting. They'll make a plan. Give me some money, I'll run away. That's what I was thinking. I didn't want cops. I didn't want prison. I didn't want jail. I thought it scared me. I was frightened and just fear. So that's how it was. And so they got curious. The deceased relative got curious when they saw the burnt heap of debris and all that. And so they by this time they had already put a photo of her in the papers and the media, and she was a missing person. So there was no results coming from that, even those ads and you see, so those notifications. So this is when they got curious, and then they called the homicide to also come in, the cops maybe question both me, the deceased husband and all. So I was taken by the cops to Roseville. They just asked me, and I just said, "I know, she just got into a car, left and went." That's how it was like. And there's the same. So from now, they put a reward for the car to say, "No, let's try to track the car, If we get the car, then we get the information on we know Murungu ari kupi. That's how it was. So in Fakosi there's a guy who knew also the third accused, that's Farai, and time around naye and some surrounds them Msia. So pakaona the ad, the reward and the ad for the car in the paper. He had seen the car at Farai's house. That's the third accused. And then Nageka Fukizwa, she ran all that. So pakaona the car, this Nissan Sunny Cream 1.5 LX. Ni reward yangari po mari. I'm not quite sure the exact money how much it was. So he goes and he had noticed the car. This guy I've seen it with Farai. But he goes to check the plates, though they were changed. They changed the plates, the front and the back. But one mistake they'd done is that it left the number plate on the window.
Yeah.
You see, they did not take that one off. You see. So he sees the number plate on the window, and the ones that they're different. But the ones on the window are the correct one, which are on the paper. When he sees bingo. And now he calls the homicide at Raleigh Central and he's expecting a reward. I don't know up to this day if he got that reward. But then the cops, they say still were coming, then they come. That's the homicide. Some of the deceased, 1 or 2 relatives, they come. They've got about 3 motorcades and they come. And when Farah is not there, when they get there, they go to the Farah's house and they see the car. It's one inch and all that covered. And they see the plates have been changed, then they know this is the exact car we're looking for. But now, what is now they would see, okay, and they hide now for Farai. When Farai comes back, he's unaware that he's been surrounded or area. And then when he gets in the house, the cops come, they knock the door. And then the moment he opens his door, the guy who had called the cops says, Farai watch. And then he's quickly ambushed, he's arrested, guns blazing, all that.
Godden, absolutely incredible story. We've been speaking to Godden Matanga on his issue around incarceration. In fact, being on death row for almost 10 years and his subsequent amnesty. So part 1 of the Godden Matanga story, you've been watching Man to Man. Don't miss out next week at the very same time as we continue this conversation with Godden Matanga. I'm Hugo Ribatika. This is Man to Man. Remember, we leave no man behind.